Hey everyone, my name is Micah, and this is my week 5 discussion board post. So for this week, we're talking about economic fundamentals, and so we're kind of the scenario is that I'm a CEO during some type of downturn, some type of crisis. So I picked the example of a pandemic, such as the COVID. Or the article for this week talks a lot about different ones such as like influenza, some type of pandemic like that. And so first off, we want to talk about the future plans and kind of what we're trying to do. So obviously, one of the main things that we're going to try to do, the main goal is going to try to be to contain it and stop it from spreading. So trying to contain infected persons, contain as in just try to not let screen them so that we know who's been infected, and then trying our best to not let them on the plane just so it's not able to spread more and more and more. One thing I did put is cargo operations. So during pandemic, sometimes to keep everything going, we've seen kind of airlines pick up more cargo operations like we were talking about American Airlines in another class that I'm taking and how they do cargo operations. And I actually didn't even really know they did cargo operations up until now. So during a pandemic with less and less passenger carrying, then we can possibly pick up cargo operations that might be lacking in some areas. And then the article does talk a lot about different pandemics. And kind of how it affects the airline industry. So one of the first things I would kind of change, or issues I would kind of input or start changing, is screening. So the article talks a lot about screenings, multiple screenings. Talks a lot about multiple screenings and a lot of different times to screen, which is good. But sometimes maybe I don't know. It's up for debate on how many, when, and all that stuff, and how much that may or may not help. So multiple screenings can help miss infected persons, so different lines of defense, and then it can help the virus not be on the aircraft, again, not infect others, kind of like we've talked about a little earlier. Also, something the article mentioned was the crew, such as like the flight attendants or even maybe gate agents, having their own screening devices on. I think it was kind of like an iPad or a tablet, and so that'd be kind of another line of defense, another screening mechanism to kind of be able to filter people out, to be able to stop the virus from spreading, especially like on aircraft. The second, I kind of said, was to focus less on like unnecessary services that maybe could be brought back a little bit, just to help with the less income that the airline's going to be getting. So I said kind of food and drink as one, still giving the service that we want to give, but maybe to not the extent that we necessarily need to. So possibly more compact, easier to give out. I know a lot of people like Delta, or possibly American, were giving out kind of like baggies with like water and some snacks. But not like the full service that we were used to. And in hopes that it would save money on these resources that we could be needed for someone, something else, because of this loss of income. And the textbook talks a lot about fuel, how high fuel prices are, making sure that we're efficient with it. So making up for high costs such as fuel costs, with kind of bringing back maybe the services such as food and drink, maybe something else that can kind of help in some areas that might need a little bit of help with that loss of income. And then the third is to incentivize work, but not working sick. So we don't want to punish people for not coming into work that they don't get paid just because they're sick, but we also don't want to give too much benefit to staying home, to where people just stay home even though if they're not sick. So I say kind of where's the line with a question mark, kind of on like how do we find that line, and then just making sure we're flexible, and then seeing if we can do jobs from home. So here are my references, and thank you so much.